All right, picking up right where we left off in the last video, we have created a label, but we'd like to go ahead and spend a minute or two and take a look at some of the things we can do to make it a bit nicer. Again, some of the things that I would like to address would be, one, how do we make this frame snug up nice and tight to the actual text? How do we put a drop shadow maybe behind our text? How do we maybe control the font of the text, a size and a type of font? How can we center this guy up on our view? There's a whole bunch of different things that we can look at here. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's just jump out of the application and back over here into Xcode. Now this is where we had our create label code. Here's what I'm going to do. Start a comment and finish it off somewhere. I'm thinking for a second. And I'll just recreate the whole darn thing. Let's go ahead and go all the way down to here. So we'll go ahead and finish this guy off right there. Of course, I still know that my view needs to be, or excuse me, my label needs to be added as a subview to my view. So I'm going to leave that in place. But you're going to see quickly why I'm reconstructing this. I just want you to get a feel for what's going on. So this time around, I'm going to be creating my label first. So if let's once again, we just come in here and we say take. Well, again, we need to go ahead and do the UI label because we don't have a property set up yet and an instance variable. So let's go ahead and say my label. And I want my label to be equal to UI label. Let's go ahead and allocate the space. And then let's do an init with frame. So it looks just like before, but before we had created all of these local variables that contain the information we needed to construct a CG rect for our frame. This time around, I'm going to use one that's already predefined for me. I am going to use a CG rect 0. What am I doing here? Basically, I am defining a frame that is located at 0, 0. So x is 0, y is 0. It has a width of 0 and a height of 0. So nothingness. But I have created that. You'll see why in a minute. Next thing I want to do, let's go ahead and put the my label.text back in. So again, we'll just stick with the same thing as we had. I guess I could have copied it, but this will work. So from ground up, like such. Okay, so now we have text in place. Watch this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say the next thing needs to be a call to my label, and I'm going to tell it to size to fit. That is going to take the frame and have the frame size itself to fit our text. And this is what I was looking for. So let's go ahead and just put that in to begin with. And I'm going to do a command save. And then let's go ahead. So command S and command R to build and go. Let's see what we get. Ho, ho, ho. Now our frame is snugging up nice and cleanly to our text. And that is exactly what we were looking for. But there's other things, like what if we want to change the font and make it a bit more exciting? Well, let's do that. So I'm going to jump back in here. Now, things that I do that change the text need to occur before I do the size to fit. If I do these things after size to fit, it's going to end up, or could end up, going outside of the bounds of the rectangle and is just simply cut off. We don't want that to happen. So we want to make all of our adjustments to our text first and then say size to fit. So first things first, let's go ahead and come in here and say my label dot, let's go ahead and do the font. So let's say the font, and what I'm going to do is a call to UI font. Not too many U's there. So UI font, there you go. And with UI font, I'm going to do a font with name. Jump over, and one that I thought looked interesting was the marker felt. So let's go ahead and come in here and just say marker felt, like such. And then a size, about something around 38. So we'll go with a size of 38 like such. Let's go ahead and close this off. So now we've done a font. We do the size to fit afterwards. Will we see anything? So Command S, Command R to build and go. And the answer is yes, we do. So now we've set a font, we've set a size from ground up, looking great. How about we jump in here and throw a quick drop shadow on, just, so we've done some more playing. Very simple to do. Coming back here to Xcode, I'm going to do my label. And I'm going to call on shadow color So shadow color. And now, move my mouse so everybody can see that. So shadow color. What I'm going to do, once again, is looking for a UI color, is I'm just going to do a call to UI color. And then I'm just going to look for just something simple like a dark gray color. And now I need to take the shadow and actually offset it. So, and of course, the further I offset it away, the more altitude it looks like it gives my text. So we'll just come in here and just experiment. So we'll do, again, my label dot, and we're going to do a shadow offset. And we're going to simply say that that is going to be 3 by 3. But what we need to do here is use a CG size make. So CG size make. And it's going to be looking for basically a CG float for the width and the height. I'm just going to come in here and say this guy is going to be a 3, 3. And we'll just remove all that out and terminate this. So with that in place, let's go ahead and do a Command S and then a Command R and see what we get. So now we have a little bit of a drop shadow going on behind our text. With that, next thing I'd like to do is go ahead and see if I can take this guy and center him. So how would I center him and move him down? Now there are numerous ways that I can go about doing this. I want to throw that out first. I am actually going to use the center of the label. So I'm going to call on the set center setter, and that is going to allow me to set the center, and I basically just hand it a CG point, and then it's going to place it wherever I ask it to. That makes it very simple right now in calculating where the center needs to be. If you think about it, all we need to do is look at the width right here, divide it in half, and if I use that number for X going across, that would have this guy centered up, and then I could put the height wherever I want. Let's go ahead and exit out of our application, and let's get that code into place. So let's jump back over here into Xcode. And let's see, so we've got our size to fit. So after the size to fit is where this code needs to go. This is very important because otherwise if you did the code ahead of time and we were referring to the frame, which we're going to, I'm going to refer to the height of it in just a second, it would actually change with the size to fit coming afterwards. So we don't want that to happen. That's why these variables will go after size to fit. So here we go with a CG float. And with this guy, we're going to set up center X, and we're simply going to say my view, and we're going to talk to the view's bounds, and in the bounds we're going to talk to its size, and then in the size we can talk to the width and the height. We're simply going to talk to its width, like such, and we're going to divide that by 2. It's easy as pie. Now, this is going to give us the halfway point. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with the concept of where if we were dealing with the frame and we were not using the center actual attribute or property of the frame, then you would need to take the half of the view's width and then subtract away from that half of the width of your label or of the frame of the label. We're not going to be doing that, but we will take a look at some of that stuff coming up shortly. So this right here will get us a center point, so that's very good. So now let's go ahead and get ourselves the center point as well for the height of the frame. So for this, I'm going to come back in once again with another CG float, and this is going to be the center, I'll just call it center Y. And here, instead of talking to my view, I'm actually interested in my label. So I'm going to talk to my label, and I'm going to tell my label, look, let's talk to the frame that we've got referenced. And on the frame, let's talk to its size. And on the size, let's talk to its height. And we'll simply divide the height by 2, like such. Okay, and with that, we basically can just go ahead and set things up. Now, all I need to do is a call to, so let's go ahead and do a call to my label, and I'm going to call set center, like such, and set center is looking for a CG point. So let's just jump on over here, and we're going to do a CG point make, like such, and it's looking for an X and a Y, and lo and behold, center X, and we have center Y. And that's it. So now we have centered up our text. I want to point out the reason that I've put this in here is this gives us the center point of our label. If we take our label, we divide it by half, and then we actually use that to place the label. That should push the label down to where it's still flushed with the top. Let's verify. So Command Save, so Command S, Command R to build and go. And what do we get? Oh, what have I typed wrong? Oh, we just forgot to close this message off. So let's go ahead and close off with a closing square bracket. Again, let's go ahead and save and build and go. So it jumps up. Look at that. Like I said, we're flush to the top, but we're center. That's the big thing I was looking for, to get us centered along X. Outstanding. So what do we want to do next? Where do we want to go from here? Well, let's add just a very simple mechanic in there that I can use to easily control how many pixels down I want the top of this label to be at. That'll be real simple. Let's just do something really simple like creating maybe another CG float, and we can call this something like offset Y, and then let's just give this a value. What if I wanted this to show up 20 pixels down? So I'm going to come down here and simply take center Y and say, all right, look, with center Y, let's add our offset to it, and that's it. So now if I want it to be at pixel 0, I can just leave my offset. I can set it at 0. If I want to be 100 pixels down, that's where the top of my frame would begin. So let's go ahead and Command Save, Command R, and boom, we're 20 pixels down. And again, I use that number just because we can kind of verify it with the height of our status bar. Fantastic. So the only thing left at this point is maybe we could go ahead and clean up the white behind it. Of course, we could set our own color, but let me show you how we could use an interesting color type, clear color. So what I'm going to do is simply come down. After we've got this guy all set up, let's just send off a message here to the background color. Now we'll just do it this way. So my label dot background color, it's going to be equal to, again, it's a UI color, this time clear color. So let's go ahead and save that and run. Boom. So now we've gotten rid of the white background. And of course we could also set all of our own colors as well. So very nice, looking very, very well. I guess just to kind of wrap things up, let's go ahead and hold a reference to this label over in a instanced variable for the myAppDelegate object. So to do that, we've already seen this several times. We're just going to come in here with a UI label, and we were calling it myLabel. And then jumping down here to property, again non-atomic, and let's make sure that we retain, and UI label for, once again, myLabel. Now, next thing we need to do, at this point everybody should be screaming to synthesize. Let's jump back up. Now I could do another synthesize line, or I could even do comma and say myLabel if I didn't want to keep adding more synthesize directives. With that in place, before I take care of the code in here, let's just jump right on down to the dealloc. Come in here and say myLabel. Let's make sure he gets released. Fantastic. And then finally, we'll take out the myLabel release right here. It's no longer needed. So just simply highlight that and delete. And then moving on up, there's no reason to actually declare a myLabel pointer here. We can just go ahead and do that because it's already set up. It's within scope since we are in the myAppDelegate object. So there we are. Nice. And finally, let's just take this stuff here the old way, delete that out, and clean that up a little bit. Let's do a Command S and a Command R and make sure everything looks good. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and exit out of this. And that is everything that I wanted to do in this video. Again, this is just very quick and to the point type videos. Lots of theory can simply come at a later date in more focused videos. I had planned on just kind of wrapping things right here, but how about I toss one more video at you guys? How about I show you how to go ahead and create a button, a UI button object from scratch, and set up a method in which it will call when a user clicks on your button. That sounds fun. So we'll do that in the next video. That's going to conclude this video. I'd like to say thanks a lot for bearing with me as it's 3:37 in the morning. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you in the next video.